Performers Pod is presented by Blue Movie PR. Your brand is more than just content, it's an experience. At Blue Movie PR, adult entertainment talent is supported with public relations that respect both the art and the person behind it. Led by Jim Steele, Blue Movie PR builds compelling narratives that connect performers with new audiences and help solidify long-term legacy. With a boutique talent first oriented approach and tiered pricing designed to meet creators at every stage of their career, Blue Movie PR is focused on entirely building your success. Let's tell your story together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod. I'm Chelsea Poe, and today my guest is Charlee Chaste. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. We met multiple times and didn't realize it,
Yep.
which I feel like is the most important thing.
Yep.
So I obviously we've like been around each other multiple times. We both went to like Susie Q's birthday. Susie Q's been on the podcast. Hunter's been on the podcast. Jiz has
Yep.
been on the podcast. I feel like
Yep.
everyone we hung out with, my partner's been on the podcast.
Yep. Yeah, we have a lot of overlap, but like truly spent multiple hours in Disney together and didn't even connect it and felt like we met for the first time on your rooftop because you like graciously hosted us on your beautiful rooftop. And now we know that we have history and it's great and we're just like hashing it out together.
I love that it's everyone's favorite PA Jade, who was like, we have a photo of you guys together.
Yes,
They're like
everyone's
one person
favorite.
apart.
Yes, yes, yes. Of course, it's Jade. Jade knows everyone and connects everyone. I love her.
For sure. So, where are you originally from, and like, how did you kind of get into this industry and when?
Yeah, I'm originally from Utah, and I was in undergrad when it got declared a public health crisis. Porn got declared a public health crisis in Utah.
Oh, I was
Um,
assuming, I'm just assuming the pandemic. Every other conversation I have now is like the pandemic started and then porn.
Yeah, no. So this isn't like this isn't my porn origin story, but I was doing other forms of sex work before I was doing
Hmm.
porn. And I was an undergrad when porn got declared a public health crisis in Utah and all of that stuff. So obviously I no longer live in Utah. I haven't lived there for many, many years now. I still love it there, but the politics there are shit. Um, yeah, so that's where I'm originally from. And I got into porn because uh, I mean, like I said, I did other forms of sex work before porn, but porn was always kind of the one that I wanted to do more. I can't
Hmm.
tell you why. I'm kinky. You're
Yeah,
kinky. You get it.
I get
Uh,
it.
yeah, I'm kinky. I'm an exhibitionist. And also, it just like has always been the form of labor that has made the most sense to me,
Hmm.
like politically and just, I don't know, it just has made sense. I tried doing other jobs. I was a mental health therapist for a second there. I fucking loved it. I had the best clients, like all queer transos, but it just like wasn't working. And so
Yeah.
then I moved to porn and I haven't looked back.
So, growing up in Utah, if you don't mind me asking, were you like
Go for it.
LDS?
No, I was not
Okay,
LDS, but like I got bullied for not being LDS and I
I
had a
could imagine.
missionary, the whole shebang. So like I don't have full religious trauma, but I have like tangential religious trauma from growing up in Utah.
I can definitely imagine that. I grew up in
Yeah.
Michigan, so I was super religious, and I was like the one kid who was like atheist growing up at least. So it was like a lot of the same stuff. Like there were people praying in my school all the time, like that was just such a everyday thing.
Yep. Were you also like a goth punk kid?
Of
Like,
course, of course.
yes,
How
we
did
would
you
have been
tell?
besties. Because yeah, we would have
Yeah.
been besties. Yeah.
Yeah, so were you like immediately like I need to get out of there because like everything I've heard about people in Utah, it's just like the church is just so massive and really
Yeah.
influences all parts of life.
It really does. And it was I need to get out of here, but also I don't want to because Utah is
It
beautiful.
really is.
The outdoors, it's unparalleled. Like Denver tries to claim it has like the things that Salt Lake City does, and it just doesn't. Nothing compares to Utah. It is, I miss it immensely. But I knew I needed to get out of there, and so I used grad school as my like mover to get me out. But I still go back often and I wish I could try and live there. Like I'm really close to my grandma. She still lives there.
Hmm.
So I go and visit them and we do have really vibrant queer, trans, sex work like bubbles. Because where
Hmm.
there's one extreme, there's also the other. And just in general, like Salt Lake City is blue. We have one of the like biggest pride festivals in the country.
I actually
So
hear that.
yeah, so the stuff exists. Like there's people there that have shared identities as us that are like making it happen. So like Utah is not just this dumpster fire of conservatism, that's a word now, and Mormon people, but it can be hard to thrive there still.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. It's just like Utah interests me so much, especially growing up in the Midwest because we don't have Mormons
Yeah.
at all. So
Yeah.
like when I moved to the West Coast, it was my first interactions with them. And it was just like so like what are you?
Where did you interact with them?
They used to come to my house a lot.
Yeah,
And I'm
that makes
Midwestern, so
sense.
I
Yep,
I would
yep, yep.
obviously try to have a conversation with them. Not even
Yeah.
in a bad way. I would just be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, your church is really cool." And they're like, "Oh, you should come up." I'm like, "I don't think I'm gonna do that, but
Yeah, I'm good.
you have a good outfit. I appreciate aesthetic."
Do you need
Uh,
water? Like you're riding your bike around all over this place. Like, do you need
it
food, water,
in
you
East
young
Oakland
child?
too. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
"Are you guys
yeah,
okay?" Like
yeah.
you guys are going to a few rough areas and just be like,
Yep,
"Oh yeah, become a Mormon."
yep, yep.
So, what like porn inspired you to like get involved in porn? Like, was there anything you really saw that was like made you be like, "Oh, I can do this"?
Yeah, my first porn was kink.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was I tried other porn. Like I looked on other more normie porn sites and wasn't really finding anything that I felt my sexuality represented or anything that like got me horny, quite honestly. And then I found kink.com and I was like, oh, this is what I'm into.
For real.
And that was that was one of them. Also, Crash Pad was definitely one of them
Yeah.
because while I love kink.com, especially back then when I was my early years, there was it was a lot more like cis het or gay
Yeah.
guys, you
Hmm.
know, or like whipped ass was it, or like the lesbian ones, like it's a certain flavor that it's not for queer people, it's for straight people watching lesbians.
Yeah.
And so Crash Pad was another site that like very much I was like, oh, this is like the queer lens that I really connect with. And so those were like the two porn sites that I first credit as my feeling represented in my sexuality and being like, oh hell yeah, like I might have a place here.
It's really interesting. When I had Princess Anna on the podcast, she was telling me that like when she was directing there, I think she did Electro Sluts. I think she was whipped ass in Public
Yeah.
Disgrace.
Yeah.
That the higher ups at Kink were like, "This is too lesbian. You need no men want to watch this."
Yup.
And when you like look back at it, you're like, "How is that true? This is like such hot porn. Like anyone would be into that." But that
So many people.
there was still like such this like male mindset, that company that was still like trying to force all these things. Like I don't think Public Disgrace is lesbian really at all, but
No.
that there were all these like higher ups and like that was like still so much about the male gaze, you know?
I think I'm so curious to hear your thoughts on this too. But you know, when there's sites that do something more regularly and then someone comes in and is like, hey, let's do a threesome, but it's like it's an MMF, or like let's do something that's
Hmm.
more clear, and they're like, oh, that's not gonna sell. And the thing is I think maybe it won't be the moneymaker at first because people don't know to go to your site for that thing. But like people like I want more queer sex represented on more than just like Crash Pad and the other like sites that have it. There's so
Yeah.
many sites. I'm not gonna name all of them.
Yeah.
But why don't we have it more like represented across the board, except for like smaller sites, you know? And it's all of these like higher ups, I feel, that are like, oh, it won't sell. It's like, it doesn't sell because you aren't making it. But I promise you that the audience is there and you have experience with that. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like I'm a really big WNBA fan and like fully committed to that. I think it's a lot of the same stuff you see in women's sports where people are like, "Oh, well, it's not going to sell because no one wants that." And it's like if you're not
Yeah,
marketing and putting the investment behind it, people don't even view it as an option. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like porn has gotten so much more queer though. Like the stuff that like
Agreed.
Susie and Michael is making is
Oh,
so fucking great.
yes.
I
Oh, I love them.
I hate that this podcast has been me just like hyping my friends, mostly Susie and Michael's being like, you guys are making such amazing stuff, but like what
It's
like
so good.
mainstream porn is now, I feel like is so
Yeah.
much better and like so overall queer that it's like anything can kind of be mainstream porn now. And it just makes me
Full
so fucking
agree.
happy.
Yeah.
And
And
like,
it's because of the people who have taken chances and
hmm
been or like pushed back. I think Susie and Michael are like key examples. There's other folks too that are like, no, we're gonna make this because like people do want it and like will, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think it's, I mean, especially I got into this industry like 12 years ago, so it's still so relatively bad where it's just kind of a guy with a camera
yeah,
who was like, I know what's hot. It's just
yep,
like, do you though?
yep, yep.
And I feel like it's in such a better place now, but when you started performing, was your like main interest like to start doing stuff like you saw at Kink, or were you like trying to get more into like the whole queer realm or just kind of like split the difference?
All of it. Kink is something I'm very good at and I thrive at. Like I'm a phenomenal bottom. I know how to negotiate. I know my limits. I know how to say
Hmm.
something when I don't like it. And I just like enjoy a lot of things genuinely. So I'm good at kink. So I knew I wanted to do that. But I love all types of sex, especially performing all types of sex. So
Yeah.
doing queer shit that isn't innately kinky or just like doing more vanilla stuff, like I my interest is in all of it, but I think it is hard because generalists don't do as well as niche performers. That's just kind of proven. But
Hmm.
I'm a slut and I want to do all of it. So trying to branch out and get more work that is like more quote unquote vanilla or like doesn't fit in like that's been a little bit of a struggle, I'll be real. But I
Hmm.
love all of it and want to do all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like so much about a career in porn though, is there's gonna be like ups and downs where like for a
Yep.
while you're gonna be cast as a certain role. Like in my like early career, I did all this like mainstream like waspy porn where they like photoshopped all my tattoos out. They
Of
like I
the
was
budget
22,
to
so I'm
do
like
that.
I was 22, so I'm like, sure, it's a paycheck, it's fine. But now I'm
Yeah.
like, it's kind of weird that they're like trying to make me look younger than I was when I was 22,
Yep.
you know, just a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
But I think
Yep.
that's like such an interesting thing that like in porn, I feel like you do kind of evolve like from scene to scene and just like parts of your career, you know?
Yep. Yep. And it's doing the work and showing that you can do it too. Like there is like some amount of like need to pay dues and not from a I don't think it's innately bad. It can be gatekeepy, sure, but also so many people want to come into this industry or are just here for a short time. And
Yeah.
so folks are rightfully weary. And I think you kind of have to just like consistently show up and be like, yeah, no, I'm
Hmm.
here to like do the job and I'm here to like be collaborative and like show up on set and be really positive and like get the job done. And that just takes time too. So it's like you evolve scene to scene and it like takes time building connections and like meaningfully showing up.
For sure. I feel like the average porn career is like a year and a half. So like
Yeah.
once you're like in it for a while, how long have you been in porn, by the way?
Oh, I'm really bad at counting this. I think more full time, 5 or 6 years ish in varying forms. But then before that, it's we'll just say 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
for
Yeah, you're a
ease of
veteran
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Ish,
It's
yeah. But it doesn't feel that way. I think there's so many people. I'm curious your thoughts on this too, that are like they're in porn for many years, but then it hits like year 8, and that's when they like hit their stride, you know? Um,
yeah.
and like start to get recognized and will get nominated for like best newcomer. And it's like I've been in this for 8 years, but it's
Yeah, that
just
shit's
yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like it's like I saw like everyone kind of cleared out after the pandemic, honestly. So I
yeah.
started in 2013, and there's only like one other trans performer of like my class who's still around, and that's Aubrey Kate.
Mm,
And she's like the
she's
fucking goat.
phenomenal.
Exactly. It's like
Uh, we love Aubrey Kate.
yeah, it's fucking crazy to be like of a generation when you have like the generational performer who's also there and you're like, "Oh, I play tennis," and then there's also Serena Williams, you know?
Yep.
Like it's like that sort of thing.
Yep.
Um And the pandemic like knocked everyone else out, it seemed like, where it was
Yep.
just like, okay, everyone else kind of disappeared. But I think so much of like just being in this industry is just continuing to make stuff even when it's feels hard or impossible, you know?
Yep.
Because like there's so many reasons to get burnt out over this industry, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like I felt that before. Like I've definitely left award shows before being like, I'm gonna quit porn tomorrow. And then be like, well, I'll do one more shoot tomorrow. And then it's a great shoot. And it's like, okay, I need to stay in this industry.
It's performing can make it hard to stay in the industry, but performing is also like the thing that I love the most about being in this industry and is
Yeah.
always like what like reignites me. So it's like, yeah, award season's exhausting. It like grinds us all. I don't know why we do it the way that we do it. But so like leaving that and then being like, oh wait, no, I'm performing again. Okay, this is why I do it, and then feeling
And
good.
we're like that 1% that's like winning awards still, though, occasionally.
Yeah.
And we still have that feeling. Like, I
Yep.
can't imagine the burnout of someone who, you know, has been nominated a million times and has never won anything.
Or never nominated. Like I can think
Yeah.
of some like performers that are like for instance, Elise Graves is a phenomenal like
Amazing.
fetish performer. She's never nominated for anything, but like she's one of the best in my opinion.
Hmm.
And it's just there are so many phenomenal performers that awards, it's hard to give everyone their flowers or whatever. And you kind of see the same people nominated no matter what.
Yeah. When I had Princess Donna on, she's like, yeah, I've never won an award. I'm like, how? You
How?
like
It's
make
Prince.
this exactly. I'm like, you make such influential porn that like literally everyone talks about how it's like, that's my dream scene. And like, you should have a million fucking trophies.
Yup. Yup. It's a whole thing. And like as far as burnout goes too, I think some people get into it because they're like, oh, this is quick money. One,
Yeah.
it's never quick money.
Nope.
Sure, those are the like those are some stories, but I would say 99% of people, I don't know, that's maybe too high. Most people though never make a fucking dime in this work. That
Yeah.
is just like the reality. It's
Yeah.
so hard. And so they like leave because they realize they can't make a quick buck. Or people get in it for like just a short time and that's their goal the whole time. And that's like so valid. But then there are the few of us that love it and we're doing it because we want it to be a lifetime career and
Hmm.
we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed your point earlier about how it's like 8 years in, you might see people start to get like nominated.
Yes.
I feel like you don't start like really getting your flowers for most people in this industry until like you're in your like 30s,
Yep.
which is really fucking bizarre.
Yep.
Like, I feel like some people are lucky in their like early 20s where you'll get like some things, but unless you're like that one in a generation talent, like a Sasha Grey or like
Yep.
Stoya or like Aubrey Kate, you're usually not getting that in your early 20s. Like, and I feel like that's such a thing. Like, I think particularly Susie Q is such a good example to me where what her career has become over time
Yeah.
is just so amazing. And that I've known her. She was literally the first person to interview me about porn when I was literally still living like in a like campus housing.
What was it
Like,
for? What did she
it
interview you
was,
for?
she had this podcast called The Whorecast way back in the day, like
Yeah.
2012, 2013. It
Yeah.
was like after a pride party, and it was like in this loud bar, and like none of it was ever usable. But
That seems so on brand. I love her. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I think just like seeing how people can like get these things, you know, 10 years or 20 years even in where people start, you know, when they're 20 years old and then they're starting to win stuff in their late 30s, early
Yep.
40s.
Yep.
I feel like that shit's just like so inspiring to me. And oh, why am I blanking on her first name? Who won Performer of the Year this year?
Yeah. AVN or XBiz.
I think it was the same girl, Jennifer
Was
White.
it? Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
you're right.
And
Yes,
she's
you're
like in
right.
her
You're right.
40s. And
Yeah,
it's
she's a
so fucking
powerhouse.
cool because
Yeah.
like you assume it's gonna be like someone like a Riley Reid or a Bella Danger who's like, you know, in their 20s, who's the next rising person, but like
And they're phenomenal. Like that but
exactly.
also like a Jennifer White. Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Like it's so fucking cool that you really start to see like these people get awarded later in their careers and that people can have secondary peaks and just like all this stuff that I feel like most of the industry don't really think about. And like there's all these like myths about aging out of the industry at like 28
Yep.
or something.
Yep. Yep, fully. I've had a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, well, what are you going to do when you're older?" I'm like, "Oh, you just don't understand, do
You
you?" And that's
don't.
okay. That's okay, but yeah, and I feel like Little Puck is another good example
Yeah.
who is someone who like has been in the industry for a long time, and she talks about this pretty openly, but it wasn't last this year's awards, but the year before she was nominated for Best Newcomer, and she had already been in the industry for forever. But
Yeah.
that little like Puck is next level incredible. Like I watch her dialogue scenes and on loop and get chills. Like she is a phenomenal
Hmm.
actress and like just she is so good but didn't get really like a lot of traction until like later on. She had some like she was doing good but like didn't blow up until recently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's just so cool that this stuff can happen in the industry. And I feel like that's what matters so much about just like continuing to make stuff and just
Yeah.
continuing to do things because I feel like it's so easy to get burnt out and be like, okay, fuck it, I'm done, because
Yep.
I didn't win this or I didn't hit this peak at this time. But there's just such an important thing about just continuing to make stuff because like you're gonna become a better performer only by shooting more porn, only by
Yep.
getting more experience. I feel like that's just something that most people in the outside world of porn don't really understand. And I
Yep.
think we get to see so many people like that. I think Penny Barber also falls into that category too.
Yes. Oh, Penny's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think people just there is quite a steep learning curve that a lot of
Hmm.
people don't understand. They think you can just like get a ring light, pick up a camera, put it on a tripod, press record and then just like shoot sex and then upload it and you don't have to do anything else and you just start making money. But
Yeah.
there's editing, there's videography,
Hmm.
there's lighting, there's sound mixing, there's knowing the angles and knowing the like very porn specific positions. Like there's so much skill in pre-production, post-production, and actual just like performing that is there's so much to learn that in order to get good, it does take some years. Like I know my earlier years, I'm glad I wasn't getting a lot of traction or anything because I still needed to learn. I wasn't that great yet. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think that's 100% a thing that it's a like real art form that you really have to spend your time doing and like really start building up more than anything else. Like I love that there's a place for us to talk about this inside stuff because I'm like, there's
yeah.
no like outside industry podcast that's gonna be like, oh, let's talk about, the long form conversation about porn careers and like growth and all this stuff because I feel like a lot of people don't want to think about that because they want to think, oh, this is one hot scene that's isolated from everything else, but there's a lot that makes you as a performer get to that position.
And even like studio scenes where maybe you're not doing all of it because you're just there to perform, which in its own right
Hmm.
has a lot of skill and you have to like really show up for, but the production aspects are taking care of it for you. But like people don't realize that there's full teams of people that have to like learn these things and really execute all of it. And I
Hmm.
think so much of that has changed since the rise of fan sites with the
Hmm.
pandemic and everything. And I wasn't connected to the studio scene as much before pandemic times, and I'm curious your experience with
Yeah.
like mostly starting in studio work,
Yeah.
right? And maybe not needing to know all of the production stuff, and now like you do all of it, right? Or
Yeah, yeah,
maybe you did learn
it's a
production stuff at
fucking
the
lot,
beginning.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think it's like when you are on these sets that are like bigger, I think you just learn things that you can take. Where I've been on sets where they've pushed performers way too hard, been
yeah.
disorganized. I've had sets where I used to work for this company. Actually, I was on set with Susie for this, and they were my co performer. And my second scene of the day was with this other performer, but we were shooting in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So the other performer had to fly cross country and their flight got delayed. And my flight was the
Woof.
next day. So I had to shoot at
Oof.
5 a.m. on no sleep.
Uh-huh.
It was a pretty like intense scene. So it's like after going through that, I'm like, I was able to power through. It got nominated for like best scene and shit. My co-star
That's
was literally
always the
falling
case.
asleep.
Yeah.
Be I have I have to have adversity in a scene
Yeah.
for me to like break out another level on me.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
says something worse about me, maybe, than anything else. But just like when you learn, you're like, shit, that was really disorganized. That put performers in a really bad place.
Yeah.
So then you like learn from those experiences,
Yep.
and then you're like, okay, I'm never gonna put a performer in that space again. I'm gonna always do these things. So I think it's like, I don't know. I think I always knew I was gonna like produce my own shit
Yeah.
in a way because I was like always wanted to do more than just perform. I love performing.
I
I view
love
myself as
performing.
a performer, but like when I'm on someone else's set, I'm always like, so how can I help though? Like,
I'm
yeah, I'm
like
always like, can I
doing
help?
dishes or doing things, and they're like, Charlie, stop. And I'm like, but I, okay.
I'm like always like talking to like the people doing lights. I'm like, can I help you carry anything? Like, do you
Yes.
need any?
Yes.
And they're like, girl, you're like on the movie cover. I'm like, well, I'm helping though. We're a team. I want to help. And they're like, you don't have to do that. You could just be on your phone. I'm like, I want to. Or like going through the script and being like, yeah, that's not my name in this movie. You need to change this or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so like for me, it was always like just kind to like take stuff from those sets.
Yeah.
But I think like for me, I always wanted to be a BDSM performer. That was like really my main thing. Like my whole kind of goal was to like bring what Sasha Grey brought to porn to trans porn because at the time I got
You,
into trans porn, there wasn't anything like that.
nope. And you've accomplished it. Like, holy hell. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know if you feel that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't like trans girls shooting gangbangs before me, really. Like,
Yeah.
there's like,
Yep.
and I fucking looked. I looked so hard. You
Yep.
know, like for me, like I wanted to bring that like alt thing to trans porn because at the time it was still very much like male centric, and I feel like
Yep.
trans porn was kind of like 10 years behind what mainstream porn was at the time. So like when there was already people like Joey Angel, Stoya, Sasha Grey, it was still kind of more in the I used to say this in a way meaner way, but like just like the 90s look of like blonde hair, big fake boobs,
Yep.
and stuff that I just like didn't really relate to because I feel
Yep.
like there was such a almost stereotypical porn look back then. And when I was 20, I would be like, that stuff's fake, blah 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 blah. I'm not about that anymore. Everybody's a good real body, but it
Yep.
just like
Yep.
didn't
Yep.
really relate to me. Um, how about you? Like, was there anyone that like really made you? I kind of asked you this before, but like, were there any specific performers that you saw that were like, oh, that's a body type that's similar to mine, or like, any like direct performances that you were like, oh, this is something I really want to do and like achieve in porn?
That one's tricky, and I feel like I'm going to forget people, so that's the worst, and I don't want to forget anyone because there are so many like individual people that have contributed to my porn journey, and I'm so
Mm-hmm.
grateful for them. But as far as like just being a consumer and looking for people with my body type, it didn't super exist then.
Mm-hmm.
That was also many years ago. I started masturbating young and like all of that, and so my porn journey started young as well.
Oh,
um
okay.
but I don't know. I have smaller tits and I love them. I have no desire to augment them to be bigger. If anything,
Mm-hmm.
I would like get top surgery to get them smaller. And I don't know. Like it didn't really exist. So I didn't really see myself in porn so much as like my body,
Mm-hmm.
but I am white, blonde hair, blue eyes. So there's plenty of that. So I
Yeah,
that probably
there's a
played a
few.
yeah, just a few of us. That like played some role for sure. But like body type, that wasn't so much. It was more like the acts that made me be like, oh, I can do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
these acts are things I can do. So like who are some like Casey Calvert, of course.
Yeah.
Victoria Vox is phenomenal, and does a lot on that site. What were the other performers? I'm trying to think of like, you know how on all porn sites you can like heart performers. I definitely did that when I was younger. And I can Brooklyn Gray, who
Oh,
isn't doing
yeah.
as much anymore and is a dear friend too. And like just fucking like they're crazy in the way that I'm crazy. And just like smiling while getting destroyed is my like
Yeah.
that's what I am. And that's like what Brooklyn is. And Brooklyn also has smaller tits, you know? Um yeah, so I would, in short, I don't think that like my body type was per se super represented then, but for sure, like it's the acts that more
Yeah.
got
I
there
can
for
definitely
me.
see like a through line from Casey Calvert to your like work for
Yeah.
sure. Like it
Yeah.
totally makes sense
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah. Just like badass bitch that can take a lot
Yeah, for sure.
and loves every second of it, like isn't being exploited at all. Or yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's like the best thing when you like I have mixed views about like the post porn interview. I feel like it's
Mm.
kind of weird
Can
sometimes.
we talk about it? I have
Yeah,
so many
totally. Yeah,
thoughts.
go
Yeah.
for it.
No,
Yeah,
no, tell
sure.
me yours
No,
first. Tell me yours
no,
first.
okay. So I had a scene, also the New England thing, where I was in a threesome and like I was literally still coming in the scene and then they started it without me realizing. And then I'm like, what is this? And they're like asking me questions and I'm like, we are still like just finishing the scene. And I feel like it's so fucking unnatural to immediately be like, maybe like 5 minutes in between, totally fine. But like right when it's directly after, I feel so weird about it. Like when you're still like literally in the bed or wherever you just shot it, and like you haven't had a chance to like get a drink of water or like, you know, do the porn bathroom thing where you clean your genitals basically.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
like
You
clean the
like
cum
wipe
off and you're like,
down.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm a person
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. You like shower off your like mascara that's running down your face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
When was the last time you experienced something like that though? Because I will say, like, I'm lucky and I've never had, like, I generally have some time to put on a robe and do all of that. I've been on really wonderful sets for post interviews.
I think that was the last Mile High movie I did. So probably like
Okay.
20, it was like before the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. That would
it's
be
weird to me.
terrible.
It's not the vibe to me. I going back to like sports shit, which I think there's
Yeah.
a lot, I think porn stars are athletes and we're also artists.
Oh.
I feel like we're
Oh.
some version of
Yes.
like figure skater meets like pro wrestler, maybe MMA, like somewhere in that realm because we're like
Yeah.
doing really extreme crazy shit that most people physically cannot do. But we also have
Correct.
to make it look like effortless so people don't think it is. And we also have to like have all this art shit to it as well,
Yes.
where I feel like it's weird like when they see like interview athletes directly after and they're like still out of breath. And
Yep.
it's like this feels a little bit weird in a voyeur way where it's like let them have a few minutes to like collect themselves and be a person for a second.
Yep.
Like I feel like kind of like that in some of those things where they do the interview directly after.
And it doesn't feel like in those cases, I would imagine, even sometimes for like 5, 10 minutes after, but that people are still in the headspace of performing,
Yeah.
which I don't know how different that is for you, but for me, it's like it's a very different headspace
Mm-hmm.
of awareness of my body, awareness of my surroundings, and also like honestly, it's really those main things.
Mm-hmm.
And interviewing is still some degree of that, but not fully. And being able to answer coherently and everything in that space can be difficult. And
Very.
so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what are your
And
feelings on it?
my feelings are, again, I'm coming from your scenario, like, would be so messed up to just like interview directly after, or sometimes like while the scene is still wrapping up. That's
Yeah.
wild. I haven't had that experience, but I still have complicated feelings about the post scene interview. I think it is both vital and necessary for, I think, having the consent conversations and the post check-ins recorded for consumers to see is part of like a good porn literacy to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
um and it feels complicated in a power way where you need your paycheck still.
Yep.
It's being recorded, and like generally on sets it's a lot of production people and then just like the few perform, like the power thing there can be a little bit complicated, that people may not feel that they can answer honestly. That
Mm-hmm.
is not my experience. I very much feel like I can. I'm lucky enough to work with really phenomenal like performers and directors and producers that I am comfortable saying things that I didn't like. And honestly, like a lot of sites do have resources for, hey, if something didn't feel good or you want to talk about something later, like here is a contact that you can reach out to at any given time so that there's like still outlets for you to express things like
Hmm.
after the post interview. But the post interview to me just like feels weird in a power way, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Because like if something really bad happened on the set, I don't feel like in most cases performers are willing to immediately be like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
awful thing happened."
Yeah.
You know? Because your scene partner's right there, the director's right there. It's still content at the end of the day, I feel like, where they're still like, "Oh, well, we need you to say, 'Oh, I had a great time and everything's good.'" To almost like not ruin the end of the scene, I guess.
If something, this is yet to happen to me, but if something went really bad, I absolutely probably wouldn't say it in the post
Same.
interview. I would talk with the people directly after when the cameras were no longer rolling, or I would reach out to the like support person if I needed to.
Yeah, every set I've been on where something did happen like that, where I've been doing videography or whatever, it's never been the day of. It's always been
Yep.
a week after or something where they're like, actually, this is what happened.
Eh,
And I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, I wish you would have said cut. We could have just stopped it. But it's like, I think when that stuff happens, people get into this mindset where they like just freeze and they're like, I have to finish this scene, you know?
I think, and that's
It's
where I'm
hard.
glad I got into porn later in life when I already had a lot of experience like advocating for myself and things like that because I do call cut in scenes. Like
Yeah,
my
you
first ever
should.
scene with kink.com, we did a really like badass thing I loved. And but there was a position that like I'm hypermobile and my body got in a position that like I was going to pass out and it wasn't going to be
Hmm.
good. So I called cut. I have zero issue calling cut. Not everyone has that experience and not
Yeah.
everyone like feels that it's safe to do so, and not every scenario is safe to do so.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think it's fine to maybe talk about it a week later or something because people need to gather their thoughts, and it can be, I've seen people talk about stuff that went wrong in really inflammatory ways that probably didn't get them the outcome that they wanted, and
Hmm.
it can be nice to have some space, but it's not going to happen in the post interview, in short. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a hard thing, I think, in that way.
This is making me think though, like, I don't feel that way about the pre-interview. I
No, not
very
at
much
all.
feel like the pre-interview is, yeah, I can say, no, I'm not into that. I don't want to do that today. Or like,
Hmm.
fuck yes, let's do that thing. I don't know why entirely though. Do you have thoughts on like why
I
those
don't
feel so
know.
different power wise?
I don't know. I think it's also like that you're in a more vulnerable position afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's still a power dynamic, especially when you're like on a studio shoot where it's like you did the scene and then you're waiting to get paid almost.
Yeah.
And then you're like naked, usually doing this interview, and it's just like, okay, so I have to do this, then I get paid essentially, and I have to say the right things
Yep.
to almost like, especially with sites that have like a quote unquote progressive
Yes.
image, they have to say the right things or
Yep.
then they look bad and then it like almost breaks the veil on what they are.
Yep. Oh, I'm not gonna open that can of worms today. I
I'm
think
like, you can if you want. This is what it's
I'm
for, but also I understand.
maybe we can talk about it over coffee sometime. But
Okay.
something else occurred to me while you were
Yeah.
talking about that is the post interview feels like there's more opportunity for conflict
Yeah.
because you're saying what you do and don't like, which is a vital thing to be able to talk about. So you're like scene partners and all of them know but like there's no real conflict possibility. Whereas afterwards, if you're like, yeah, I don't like how this went, you're giving direct feedback to the like your scene
Yeah.
partner or something. And like that feels scary because there's conflict possible.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn. I haven't actually like gone into this on this podcast. I'm really glad we were able to because it's like a real thing that I think there's a lot of viewers who are just like, well, this site's good because they have the post interview. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Complicated.
is that though? Is that
Yeah.
automatically good? And I think
Yeah.
that also like goes into the dichotomy of how there's this like language that's like, well, ethical porn's good, mainstream porn's bad, and I just find that to be such fucking bullshit. And especially now,
Nope. please continue. I feel so
Yeah.
strongly about this. Please
Yeah.
continue.
I don't know. I think like especially now, like I literally
Uh-huh.
had a like ethical porn director tell me like how mainstream porn's so bad and like AVN's a fascist organization and all this crazy shit. That I'm like, how are you saying this when we just like literally had our first black performer of the female performer of the year? That when you look at who's winning these awards, who's getting nominated for these awards, it's these directors who are like really trying to center not only trans people, trying to center women and all this stuff, and really trying to make it about that and make it about the art. Like then to shit on all that and just be like, oh yeah, that's all mainstream like trash. It's just like I don't know. It's just this like hierarchy bullshit that's like, well, my porn's actually good and theirs is bad, and that's why you should give me your money. And I don't know. I fucking hate that stuff so much. And especially when I first got into porn, every interview I did with like outside media, like whether it was like Cosmo, whether it was Vice, whether it was like whatever, it was always like kind of that conversation. And I hate
Yup.
that shit so much.
I Nicole Purdue at Porn Film Festival Berlin this year did an excellent keynote where she so fucking brilliantly and succinctly summarized all of my feelings on this topic, and it's basically exactly what we're saying. I need to see if it was recorded because I need to share it with folks. It was like I had chills and was like screaming the whole time because it was so
Mhm.
good. But essentially I feel like calling your porn feminist or ethical, I understand why people do it from a marketing standpoint because we have villainized and demonized porn so heavily in our cultures
Mhm.
that they're like, oh, but mine's ethical and feminist. So people like feel that their guilt is eased in watching porn and wanting to like experience pleasure. And I just wish it was more normalized. But marketing, cool, whatever. However, it, like you're saying, enforces this hierarchy and creates this false dichotomy of like ethical versus not ethical porn. It comes down to how the fuck you treat your performers on set and like, are people buying porn? Like, if you're watching ethical porn, but you're not buying for it, like paying for it, like, is that ethical? Not in my opinion.
No.
And it increases this like it it's terrible. And my experience, I'm not speaking to any specific sites on this podcast, but I have had some of the most ethical, most like respectful, I felt so taken care of and wonderful experiences on sets that aren't the ones who are like yelling about being feminist and like
Yeah.
ethical and shit. And those are my most ethical experiences.
Hmm.
Whereas like I have worked with some studios and people who really build their whole brand about it around it. And those are the worst experiences and like the experiences where I feel like the most disrespected or I'm just like none of what y'all are doing feels ethical to me. Um it drives me bonkers. And like ethics is, there's not one definition for it. Like everyone gets to have their own definition of it. So maybe that's also a piece of it. But I immediately distrust any site or performer that builds their whole brand and screams about being
Hmm.
ethical or feminist. And I'm like, show me, fucking show me. And there are like some people who like just live it and don't have to scream about it. And you know that they're that because they live it. Susie Q and Michael are great
Yeah.
examples. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I completely firsthand agree.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that. It's it's just crazy to me that I'm really kind of hoping that trend kind of dies. Like, I think myself being the vice president of a ethical porn company that is liable for fraud right now, like
Yup.
it made me be like, whoa, this whole thing. Like, I find that almost to be worse than a porn company that's like, we're just a porn company. We don't care. We just care about fucking bitches and money.
Yeah,
Where in another way, it's like, oh, if you're using all this ethical and queer language for our community,
yep,
well, then not actually having a formal business structure and misleading people who work for the company,
yep.
it makes it worse in a way to me where it's, you know, I would almost
And
rather a company just be upfront and be like, we just fuck bitches and get money and that's it, you know?
and yeah, I full agree. And I think when you like claim to be ethical feminist or any other kind of like lefty term, it does open
Hmm.
you up for more criticism, which is both good and bad. And I also hope that this passes. I think a piece of it came from when honestly Utah like claimed porn as a public health crisis and other stuff, like people started to feel this need to have good porn,
Yeah.
like quote unquote, like good moral porn. And I know for a fact there are some studios and companies out there that didn't necessarily want to frame themselves as ethical or feminist or anything. It more got like put on them as like, oh, they're doing it different. And it's really like people, I'll come back to that in a second. My brain is going somewhere else. Um,
That's
not
what this is
everyone
for.
yeah, not everyone chose that label, but I think another piece of like what is considered, this is where my brain was going, that's like ethical or feminist is an aesthetic. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, it can't be kinky. It's with like very specific body types,
Yeah.
and it's generally like thin white people,
Hmm.
doing like sensual, not hardcore, like, and there's like soft lighting and it's like
Hmm.
diffuse and it's like it's an aesthetic. And no, that is not true. Like kinky sex is ethical and feminist in so many
Hmm.
fucking ways. Um, yeah, feminist and ethical porn is an aesthetic. It's not an act in the industry and how like the studios are not all, but how many studios are doing it, and it just makes me want to scream.
I completely agree. It's
Yeah.
I just think it's so crazy, especially with the state of porn right now,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
porn is,
yes.
I think mainstream porn's like probably in the best place it's been. Like,
Ooh, say more.
there's so much great porn being made all the fucking time, and the people getting nominated and winning shit are
Yes.
like doing things the right way.
Okay, so you mean for like what's being produced and the like brilliance that people are outputting.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
Okay, full agree.
every movie you see that's like getting nominated for movie of the year,
Yeah.
like 10 years ago, half those
Yeah.
movies I'm like, whoa, this is fucked up. I don't know if I would have watched that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, whoa, wow, there's like real art being made and there's like real thought process behind it. Where I
Yeah.
feel like the people who are up for director of the year now are like really truly contributing something to these films.
Yeah.
Where I feel like 10 years ago it was very much a guy with a camera who was like,
Yeah.
oh, this girl's hot and I shot from this angle, so it's gonna be nominated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So like mainstream porn is the in the best place it's ever been as far as the like collaboration, the vision, the like production and all of that.
I think so. I mean, there's obviously the golden age of porn and all of that, but
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually gonna do so I don't know if you know, but next year is gonna be the 50th anniversary of like major porn award shows existing.
Oh, I wasn't no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so before the Free Speech Coalition, it used to be another thing, and in the 70s
Yeah.
they started an award show that was pre-AVN. That was at the
Okay.
Palladium.
Yeah.
So I want to do a 10-part series about the history of porn,
Hell
dating back
yes.
to the 1800s, because there used to be silent porn, which I was completely unaware of.
Yeah, I mean, porn has existed the moment that people could like draw. And
Yeah.
yeah, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to do a thing on like every decade of porn. So it's like my
Oh,
big
hell
next
yeah.
thing. I guess I'm revealing it on the podcast right now, but it's just like so interesting to like really see how many like great porn films were made like throughout the history of the genre.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, how far back are you going to go?
I think like 1800s. So
Okay.
like I want to keep it to film limited only.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like 1800, like early 1800s. I mean late 1800s, early 1900s, and then like up to like when Warhol started doing like the artistic like proto porn things, and
Yeah.
then the golden age, and then all the way up to I think like now, which is so much just about, this like kind of new age of porn where I feel like mainstream porn is like in such an artistic place right now. The
Yeah.
creator like the content creator thing in Vegas where like anyone can kind of move to Vegas and try to become a porn star, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited to listen to that. That's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, if you would like to come on, you're totally welcome to.
I
So
don't, I would love to, but
so what
yeah.
my plan is, I guess I'm revealing this to the audience as well. Um so like I want to try to like do to like review three movies of that specific era too,
Oh, yes.
and like talk about it and stuff, just because I feel like we don't usually like have that much of like a retrospective about our industry
Yeah.
where like most of the time it's just like, oh yeah, I do porn. I knew about porn that was like 10 years before me, and that's kind of about it, you know?
Yeah. We don't have a criterion closet for porn of
There
sorts.
is there's this one thing I can't remember if AVN did it, but it was like something with Showtime, and they did like the 50 defining movies of porn. It was from like the 60s to I think 2010s maybe.
Yeah.
And they go through like every single like major movie, and it's like really cool. They have like all like the cast and crew from all the movies in it too. There's
That's
there's
incredible.
way too many Ron Jeremy interviews in it because it was
Sure.
before he got
Yeah.
canceled, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's just like really interesting because there we have like such a real history of this industry, and I think that's like such a important thing to talk about because I don't think we really do, and it can feel so isolating in this industry because it can feel
Sure.
like there's no one who's been through what you've gone through as a performer, you know?
Yeah. I think that's such an interesting point because I think it can be so isolating. And at the same time, part of why porn has always felt like a thing I want to do as a lifelong career and something that's drawn me to it so much is the history of sex work,
Mm-hmm.
period, not even just porn, the resilience and badassery that is sex workers,
Yeah.
how sex workers are at the center of so many activist movements. I mean, not all sex workers are like activists by any means, but like a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
big social movements, like sex workers are at the center of that shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like the my experience in porn is the people are my people. Like,
Yeah.
and these are my like loyal, get you through rough times, folks. Like it is the opposite of isolating in many aspects
Mm-hmm.
too, because the history is rich, the community is rich, and like once you find your people, you find them. Um, but I think the rise of content creation specifically has kind of made it more isolating because you
Mm-hmm.
can just like do it from your house and never have to like attend industry events or even want to, and that's totally valid
Yeah.
and fine. That's not an invalid way to engage. Like get your bag, I don't give a fuck, just like don't be shitty to other sex workers in the process, but it can be so much more isolated
Mm-hmm.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's just that our stories aren't documented that much, that you really have
Absolutely.
to seek it out. Like, there were like two books I read recently. There was one, there's a memoir by a sex worker who moved from the Midwest to San Francisco in 1913, whose memoir I've been reading lately, and that's been really inspiring just to be like, whoa, so many of the same issues 100 years ago are the same issues facing sex workers today,
Do you
where
remember the name?
it's called Alice.
Okay.
It's kind of heavy at times. Like a
Okay.
lot of it has to do with like the heaviness of all the stigma around sex and stuff
Yeah.
around that time. But I would say it's like a very interesting book. And then do you know who Candy Darling is?
No, tell
She
me.
was one of the Warhol superstars, and she was a trans woman. So she
Okay.
was doing like full-blown acting and stuff, like film, all this stuff, but was also a sex worker. So she was doing plays and stuff in porn theaters, but that was before trans women were allowed in porn. So she was doing
Ah,
sex work completely separate from that. And yeah, she was yeah, like in a few different films, went to Germany, did a movie. She died very young though. She ended up having
suck.
like I think a tumor in her like stomach or something, and I think she died at like 32 or something.
Oh no.
But that there's like this real history of sex workers, and I think for me, especially being a trans sex worker, I'm like very hard for me to be like, okay, when can I find someone 50 years ago who was going through the same shit? And then being able
Yeah.
to see that and being like, oh wow, there was actually someone who I can actually really relate to in that way. And I also had a performer on. I think she started porn in the early 80s.
Okay.
And she was a trans woman, but she was doing everything stealth for 10 years in porn, where she just wouldn't take off, where she would just like give everyone oral in scenes. And then she was
Oh
like a stealth
yes.
stripper in the Midwest in the
Oh
90s.
yes.
And I'm just like,
Would
this
she
is
just
so
like
fucking cool.
talk or who knows? It does. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
She
Get
she
it.
edits for me now because
Hell
I'm
yes.
like I want my porn to have like a through line from like,
Yes.
earlier eras of porn. So yeah, she edited my last movie, and she's actually editing one for me right now. And I just think it's so cool to like really reach into those like older eras of this industry and just sex work as a whole because usually it's like people go out of the industry and then they're just kind of separated from the modern industry. And I think it's just
Yep.
so important to really have all of us connected and have this larger, you know, collective memory of all these things that happened in porn.
Full agreed. I think there are some folks that have tried documenting, but as we know, systems of power will often erase and oppress and
Hmm.
marginalize any of that media. And like that's happened so much with sex work. So we need to keep creating it. We need to create, like, continue documenting
Hmm.
even more than we possibly can so that efforts to erase, you can never fully erase, right? But it does make a difference when that's not easily accessible to just modern media and modern literature and shit like that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's, when I was in grad school, I was like, I went to grad school for social work, and I
Hmm.
have so many rough feelings about social work, and it's part of why I'm no longer in it. But like, social work has a really violent history, and very like gatekeepy, white supremacy, like
Hmm.
shit tied to it, and that is still very present. When people were like, "Let's replace cops with social workers," I'm like, "Oh, that is just another form of cop, my friend."
Yeah.
Um, but that aside, I was in grad school. There was an agency that was like, I'm not going to call it out directly, but it was like for people who wanted to leave the sex work industry, and it was led by sex workers, but it was like a framework of sex work that I didn't agree with, saying that like porn and shit and like sex work in general is innately violent towards women and things like that.
Mm.
And there were people who worked for it, and we would have like debates on things, and I would like have to be, not have to. I chose to be the one person in my cohort that like talked about like pro sex work, like decrim, all of this shit.
Hmm.
And I needed to find, like, when writing papers, old literature that like supported my framework or just like even just documented any of it, right? And I found like Emma Goldman from 1900s, who's just like this badass anarchist woman who was like very pro sex work and was a sex
I
worker.
think she's actually referenced in the Alice book that,
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
that she spoke in SF during that time.
I need to find. I wrote down Candy, and I'm also going to write down this Alice book and
Yeah.
look into it because I need to look into both of these
They're both
things.
on Audible, so if you just want to listen to it as a podcast, like both are
Hell
very
yeah. The Chronicles of Alice, is that it? No.
I'll send you a link to it after.
Oh yeah, that is definitely not
Yeah.
it. Yes, please send me a link. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had like Emma Goldman and a few other things, but there really wasn't a lot that I could pull from in my. Oh, I was able to reference like recent work, so like Jisley's coming out like a porn star, and some other stuff, but there's not a whole lot. You're completely right. And while, to my earlier point of like community and like sex workers being so together and like resilient and badass and like leading shit, it's not documented. You're so
Yeah.
right. And like that is, and unfortunately, a lot of like people don't, similar to like queer, trans, all of that, like, don't live into older age. So you don't necessarily
Yeah.
have that's different now, but you don't have the people to look up to and be like, oh, this is what my life can look like when I'm like 80 and 90.
Yeah, it's so true. Like when I started putting this project together, I started looking into a lot of like the golden age of porn performers and most of them are gone,
Yep.
where it's like most would be in like their 60s or 70s, but still it's just like really sad that, most of them are just not with us anymore.
And people will, like, the general population will contribute that to like, oh, well, it's because they were a whore and they were just like living hard and they were like blah 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 blah. And maybe that's true in some cases, and that's
Hmm.
not a bad thing in my mind. But it's also just like systemic oppression and the impacts it has on you and the ways that you don't have. Oh, can we talk about getting healthcare as a sex
Yeah,
worker and like
so
your
hard.
experience of getting healthcare as a sex worker? Of course, people aren't going to like proactively try and be on top of it and engage with the horror phobia and terribleness that is our
Hmm.
healthcare system. Like, there's so much that impacts shorter life expectancy and stuff that has nothing to do with someone's like life choice and everything to do with shitty hate and bigotry.
Yeah, how society engages with them.
Yeah.
And also like for myself, like sex work was very much way out of, generational poverty. There was
Yep.
multiple generations of homelessness in my family. So it
Yep.
was like very much a thing where it was like the way I got into sex work was not this rosy, oh yeah, this is an ethical, positive thing, you know? And it's
Correct.
okay to
Yeah.
have that. And like it's a real story for a lot of sex workers, but that doesn't
Yep.
negate that it can also be this way out of that for a lot of people.
And yes, like sex work is such a spectrum. And it's
Hmm.
not just like there's a huge spectrum within porn and then within full service and
Yeah.
within like stripping and
Hmm.
sugaring and like all of these things and like survival sex work. Oh, another thing I used to argue, debate with is like the conflation of sex trafficking and sex work, right?
Yeah.
And it's a shitty conflation, but I also don't think we can fully say that trafficking doesn't occur within sex work because it does. And it's not the same thing, but it happens. But
Hmm.
trafficking happens in like all industries.
Yep.
Um, that's the thing. And it's not just because it's sex work that it's happening. It's
Hmm.
literally all industries. But survival sex, and then there's also like the spectrum of like survival sex work, right? And
Hmm.
people just like that's the only option they have for whatever reason, and
Yeah.
it's like what they're doing. And all of it is valid. And we glamorize a lot of pieces of sex work or like have a hierarchy within like why
Hmm.
you're doing it or how you're doing it. And that just hurts all of us. And yeah.
Yeah.
I had a point there. I lost it.
No, but like we got into such good stuff. I absolutely love that. So I have like two final questions for you.
Yeah, yeah,
This has
yeah.
been such a great chat. I had a feeling this was gonna happen, that we were gonna go
Yeah,
deep and like get into all
yeah,
this stuff. Where I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not gonna have to ask you every question on my
yeah, yeah,
list.
yeah, yeah.
I had a feeling. So you've been in this industry for like 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
What do you still want to accomplish that you haven't so far?
Oh my gosh, so much. I feel like my career is still like veteran in some ways, sure, and the fact that I'm still doing it, but also like I feel like I'm still such a newbie in many aspects. I really want to do more mainstream and like feature work. I need to
Hmm.
take acting lessons, so I'm going to pursue acting lessons to do that. I was a theater kid, but I'm just like rusty as hell. So that's something I am actively working towards, but I'm not ready for yet, I don't think. Um, what else do I want to do? I really love production, as
Hmm.
we were talking. I don't like performing and producing on the same shoot. That's a little hard for me, but
It's a lot.
I was a yeah, I was a co-producer for a film that I also performed in, but a RET, it was a rock climbing
Hmm.
lesbian movie, and my brain works really well in production ways, and I've been lucky enough to be able to like shadow production stuff with Michael and Susie as well, and just all of the pieces that go into movie making make my brain really happy. So I would love to also do more on the production side, starting as just a PA, because like PAs work their asses off and do so much. Um, yeah, so in short, I want like to be a PA and to do more production things, and I want to be like a star in mainstream like features and whatnot, but need
Hell
to
yeah.
take acting. Yeah, yeah,
That's so great. I
yeah.
can't wait to see like what in 10 years like Susie and Michael's like porn tree is gonna do.
Oh my
It's like there's
gosh.
so many people who are just like making such like cool stuff now, and it's like just like what that's gonna build to in 10 years. I'm just like so genuinely excited for the industry and just like where it's going, you know?
They have already reshaped the industry in such positive ways, and it's only going to keep going. They're powerhouses.
Yeah. And like
Yeah,
they so just genuinely enjoy this industry too. And like just
yeah,
like when you see people have such a genuine joy for the industry, like
yep,
this makes me so happy. And that all these like directors now, like it just makes me so happy, like to see what Ricky does, to see what
yep,
Hayden Cross does, to see what
yep.
Susie and Michael does. It's just like so genuinely great. And like I'm friends with all these people. It's just like such a kind of mind fuck at times to be like, wow, all these people are genuinely like such talented artists, and I'm friends with them, and they're continuing
Yep.
to make stuff, and that we're all coming together like at these major award shows every single year. It really feels like it almost feels like in high school when like your class becomes like the senior class, you know, where like everyone's
Yeah.
like the people now, and you're
Yep.
like,
Yep.
it feels like so genuinely amazing.
And it's
So
like always, I'm just always in awe of who I get to like love and be loved by, and exactly like you're saying, because like I think people make an assumption that people are directors or make porn because they're not good at anything else or whatever. And it's like, no, that's never
Not
true.
at all.
And these folks like genuinely care and are motivated and inspired by and are like some of the most brilliant people I know, like just so fucking smart.
Hmm.
And yeah, they apply it to this and we're so lucky.
We really are. So I have one final question. This is my only
Yes.
BuzzFeedy question.
Oh yes, and let me have it.
I don't do that usually, but this is always my last one. So let's say you could wake up tomorrow and one thing in porn could magically be changed. What would you have it be?
In the industry or generally in the world?
I mean, either way. I'm depends on how big you want to take it. Either way is fine.
Woof, this is a hard one. Let me think for a second.
I can tell you mine if you
Yeah,
want me
tell
to buy you
me.
time. So
Yeah,
I think testing is absolutely fucking terrible in this industry.
yeah,
So what I wish could happen, I don't entirely trust the state of California or the state of Nevada, but
sure.
kind of going back to like the sports analogy. So I don't know if you know in like boxing and MMA, because there's obviously fluid transfer and blood transfer that happens. Every state's commission does all the testing for all the fighters
Interesting.
to try to limit um like transmission of diseases or illnesses from blood transfer, right? So that's not paid for by like the individual fighters or production or anything like that, right? So the state does that because they're like, hey, we have this thing in our state that there is a risk on, and we're going to take care of this as a way to make this event or this activity safe in our state. So I think it'd be really amazing if California, Nevada, Florida, or even these countries in Europe that have a lot of porn shoots like Germany, Czech
Yeah,
Republic, Netherlands,
yeah,
stepped forward and said, "Hey, we're gonna actually control this." Um, so back in the day, when sex work was legal in San Francisco in the
yeah.
early 19 like tens, they used to cover that citywide. So they would test all the sex workers. The bad thing back then, though, if you tested positive, they'd put your photo up and they'd be like, "You can't, don't have sex with this woman," right?
Can you
Crazy,
imagine? No. Yeah,
right? Awful. But I think that if these states could be trusted on some level, I think that would be the best overall thing, though, to
yeah,
actually have there be some sort of government control of it, just in the way of saying, oh, we're going to make sure that there's not transmission on these sets. Because
sure.
then you eliminate this whole thing of people faking tests. You eliminate this whole kind of market of you have to pay $200 to do one shoot.
It's not even 200. It's like 300, 350 these
Is
days.
it?
Yeah, it's so expensive.
See, San Francisco
Well,
doesn't
you
have talent
know.
testing anymore.
I know.
So,
Whenever I
like,
go, yeah, yeah,
So it becomes this weird thing where most of the time when I shoot, I'm like, well, I can get a certified test from a clinic here, but
yeah.
unless it's like a mainstream shoot, I'm not going out and doing the 200 or whatever
No, yeah,
testing unless the company's paying for it. And it's just like such an irreliable system. And like in the Netherlands, because they have universal health care,
yeah.
doctors won't give you a test unless you actually have a symptom or something. So it
I
becomes this complex situation where you have to almost like talk them into it and find the right doctor who's gonna be okay with it.
Yep. I know when our shared Berlin friends came over to the States, I was they needed to get a full panel, right?
Hmm.
And they had to like fake having MGen or having exposure to
Yeah.
MGen in order to get tested for it. Or like when I got tested in Berlin, I went to the like one place that they have that sex workers use, but Paulita helped me a lot. I
Hmm.
love Paulita
She's
and
amazing.
so amazing. But I basically had to be like, I'm getting a panel. Production isn't paying for it. Let me pay out of pocket for it. And they like it was a whole thing that like they had never been used to before.
Yeah.
So I think the states like with ProDX, Clear, like a few other, it's better than some places. But it absolutely is like so inaccessible and not perfect. People fake stuff. And I really, really, I love Pass. They're doing so much to make it
Hmm.
better. And even in just the last 5 years, I've seen big improvements, but it has so far to go too. Yeah, that's a good
Agreed.
answer. I love that answer. I think like state-based, like, and like having it, yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, because these states, porn functions and it's just part of society. Like,
Yes.
And we
And
pay
like
taxes.
sex is a part of society. Why isn't this just like better, period? And
For
I
real.
think it would take having healthcare providers also more informed and educated on STIs and STDs and transmission and all of that and unlearn their horror phobia. So it'd be like having what you're saying be more accessible across states, I think would have a positive impact on all of healthcare too.
For sure.
I love it. I
Yeah.
think I have mine. You inspired
Okay.
me.
Okay, great.
I think decriminalization of all forms of sex work
Hell
is what
yeah.
I would wave my magic wand for. I th- fuck fascism in general, right? So I'm like, this is
Yeah.
such a
Hell
hard
yeah.
question right now, but I think decrim of all sex work would help with so many other social movements
For
and just
sure.
like general public health and our criminal justice, quote unquote, system. Um, yeah, let's decrim.
Yeah.
Decrim now, you know?
Yeah. 100%. I think it's so important that there's finally like becoming more Congress people who are starting to speak out about it. The
Yeah.
AOC's for it. Two out of the three people running for the congressional seat in San Francisco have come out in
Oh,
favor
yeah.
of decrim.
I
So I
think I
think
saw
it's like
that.
slowly
Yeah.
growing. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's multiple countries that did. Belgium did.
Yep.
I think one territory in Australia did.
Yep.
Weirdly, the county Ann Arbor, Michigan is in also has decrim
Wait,
now.
really?
Yeah, it's really random.
How is that? Do you know? Oh, I'm not following Michigan specifically, but do you know where Michigan is standing on porn right now? Because if they're decrim, I imagine that like porn is still allowed and fine.
It's weird. It's really weird. So there was a bill trying to criminalize porn in Michigan, but I don't think it went anywhere.
Yeah,
So like I think you can shoot porn in Michigan, but it's just like a really weird thing because there's just not that many people doing it there.
sure.
Like I don't think there's any production company. I have shot a few movies in Michigan, but
Did you like
yeah,
make those happen? Like you know?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, of course you
I'm
did.
like,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
Chelsea Poe. Yeah,
I'm like, that's what I do. I just go to a place. I'm like, I'm gonna make a
yeah,
porn here. I go to Korea. I'm like, I'm gonna make a porn here.
yeah. Chelsea Poe makes porn happen.
Yeah, I'm like, you just find some people, you get a light kit,
Yeah,
you get some tripods, and
yeah.
porno.
Yep, yep, yep. Same in Utah. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's criminalized there. So I don't do porn in Utah anymore, ever. I would never break the law. And I don't get on porn sites there, nothing. Yeah.
I think that's a really good answer. Do you know about Mormon girls, by the way?
Oh, the like more like, and there's also Mormon boys and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I used to like because I was kinky when I still lived in Utah. Like I was
Hmm.
kinky, before I moved out at all. And there's a pretty decent kink scene there. And the amount of like Mormon scenes we would do, like in garments and stuff, or like
Love
blessing
that.
like cum and stuff. Oh, I love it. I love sacrilege. Catholic sacrilege is way more fun, but like Mormon sacrilege is so fun too.
It's like again, the aesthetics for me. The aesthetics are just too
Oh,
good. It's just too good. But yeah, when you brought up porn in Utah, I was like, "Do you know the site Mormon Girls?" And you're like, "Yeah, I do."
yeah, of
Great.
course I do. Yeah, yeah.
But before we go, where can everyone find you on social media, on porn sites, all this stuff?
Yeah. CharlieXXXChase.com has all of my links. I also have CharlieXChase.com, which is my main site. And then on Twitter, I'm send_it_slut. It is a very old account. But that's my Twitter. Blue Sky is CharlieXChase.com. And my Instagram is just Charlee Chaste.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was such a great conversation.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. We need to have 500 more conversations,
A
please.
hundred
I
percent.
adore you. I'm so glad we're like finally connecting more. And yeah, yeah. Thank you for
Likewise.
doing this. You're such a badass. You have also reshaped the industry. You're like, oh, you're such a
Oh my
badass.
God, that's so
Yeah,
sweet. I really hope to have you on like the 100 years of porn or 50
I
years
would
of
love
porn
that.
thing. And
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk more about porn with you. We've had such a great
Yes.
conversation, and I'm so glad we're linked up now and can't wait to
Yes.
see you at whatever next industry event, honestly.
Or I'm gonna hit you up when I'm in the Bay now and we can like
Please,
chill
please,
on your
please do.
rooftop and yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah.
100% anytime.
Cool.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.